Hello, my name's Ajay and you're watching The Defining Moment for Creating the Culture of Conscience. Today, our guest is Aziz Al Naib. Aziz was born in Baghdad in 1945 and came to the UK back in 1980, just before the war broke out between Iraq and Iran. He studied graphic design at the London College of Printing and went on to be a graphic designer and a painter working with newspapers and magazines. Recently, he founded an NGO called Messengers of Hope, which is now working with the millions of displaced people across Iraq. Aziz, thank you for joining us on The Defining Moment.
You're welcome.
Aziz, before we get into the topic today, which is actually looking at the art of Iraq, typically we're associating words like war and terror with Iraq, but this is actually looking at the art of Iraq and the impact that art has had in your life and, of course, in those of the people there. Now, before we get into that topic, can you please share with us a defining moment from your life?
In the actual fact, the defining moment was the moment I left Iraq and came to this country, a different environment, different culture. And that happened with the help of God. About 8 months before the problem between Iraq and Iran, the 8 years war. And I feel, after that, I felt that I am here safer and I'm here, can study in a better environment. And I have more freedom to speak, to say something, whatever I feel. Didn't have that back home. So it is a defining moment for me to have such a step from Iraq to London.
And just to give us more of a background, just in case we haven't guessed already, what are your ethnic or religious roots back in Iraq?
Well, I feel, I mean, I am a Muslim, but I always felt, because in Iraq there are so many cultures and religions, and I always felt that I am part of these people. I didn't feel that I am supposed to stand up with one people and forget about the others, which is, I always felt that I am fine inside. I mean, I have such a feeling.
Perhaps before now we get into the actual topic about art and your own experiences of creating and sharing art, can you tell us about more your background as an artist?
Yes, actually, I grown up with art. I mean, when I was child in the school, I felt everybody at the drawing lesson, they come to me, they say, will you help us, all the children, everybody. So I felt from beginning that I have art in my blood. And then I felt that mainly is a calligraphy art. I then found myself, I am a calligrapher. And then I studied, of course, calligraphy, and I studied art, and then before I come here.
And what is the message, so to speak, of the art that you're making?
Well, mainly touching heart. I mean, most of the art I'm doing is either coming from poetry, or coming from verses from Quran, or coming from important message. People, they say it, and I think this is nice to share it with the others. So I start writing.
Can you show us an example?
Well, actually, yes. I mean, I've got few samples here.
And what does that say?
Here we say whatever is good and beauty and justice and love, this is the true life.
And obviously these are Arabic letters.
It is Arabic, yes.
And perhaps you can show some more?
Yeah. Here somebody who's tried to say to Prophet Muhammad, أبا الزهراء قد جاوزت قدري. I mean, I just want to say something, maybe I'm over-express myself, but I feel that I am belong to your family, and that's why I'm talking. There's another one called Surra Man Ra'a. We have a town in Iraq called Samarra, and it's always saying Surra Man Ra'a, which is you feel happier when you see it.
And this is a different kind of style.
Yes. This one is a different style of lettering, and it's actually saying that it's a shame of a person who is his brother or his friend suffering of hunger. And this is another poet saying that, poetry saying that نسي الطين ساعة, which is the mud, you know, the human created from mud, and the human forgot one moment that he became from that kind of thing. So he became like somebody like a dictatorship or doing something rude to the others without thinking who he is and where he comes from.
You mentioned it's from poetry. Is there any connection to the Sufi poets? Because I know they have a tradition of poets or mystical writings.
Yeah, most of it I feel that it is Sufic. I always feel that I'm close to and try to write it myself. Do it as a calligraphy piece of art.
Okay.
And there's another one, again, Salaman ya Iraq means peace on Iraq, and we from the poet and poetry.
Okay, well there are many more pictures
Yes.
which you've kindly brought along.
Yeah.
And hopefully, perhaps if we have an exhibition in the future, we can all have a look. Or
Of
perhaps
course.
you can put them on the internet.
Yes.
Okay. Well, along obviously your art there you've just shared with us has a particular message, has a kind of noble message or a message for humanity. But if we look at what's happened in Iraq over the last few years, and I think particularly in terms of culture, do you think that because of the war that culture and art has been destroyed in Iraq?
Yes. I mean, people now are afraid of going out because they don't know if they go out to school or to to work. They don't know if they're coming back home or not. Although the last few months is a bit quiet now. But hopefully the people will go over this problem in a year or two. Because
So are they even afraid to produce art in case it's somehow deemed controversial and they might end up in prison? Is that an actual risk?
Not really, no. I mean, the art is because most people now at that region became like more religious. So people, they need to think twice before they produce anything. In the theater or in the cinema or in the fine art.
Is there a strong tradition of theatre?
Yes, there is. But they, again, when the idea is supposed to be acceptable by the rulers or the people who lead the country.
Right, so it's basically in line with the authority figures rather than as an expression of art in the sense of being free to say whatever you like.
Well, they are free. Nobody.
There's no
tells
censorship,
them,
you're saying?
Yeah, no censorship. But at the same time, they have to be careful because they might do something upset other people, other sectarian people or something, and they could end with. Because I remember one Iraqi director, theater director, who was living in Belgium, and when he came back to Iraq, he said one sentence. He said, "Why they kill us when we are happy with the freedom? I mean, we're celebrating the freedom. Why they are killing us?" So somebody didn't like this idea. So it being killed after a few months. So people, they have to be careful what to do, what to say, what to. But the government, they don't have restrictions. There is no censorship or any newspaper or magazine or theater or cinema.
May I ask, Aziz, if you were living in Iraq right now, if you just found yourself back home
Yes.
in Baghdad, obviously that is your hometown,
Yes.
would you feel yourself the freedom to create and to express yourself through your art?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I went about 2 years ago, spent 3 months, and then I felt as a visitor, not as one who lived there for a long time. They have so many problems. I felt I am in a heaven. Although every day you see suicide bombing and this and that, and thank God I didn't get any of that, but I felt that I am, because there are so many people in love and touch hard. People, they welcome you anywhere you go, and you feel more happy than you are anywhere abroad.
And so then you, for example, if you had the opportunity to have an exhibition somewhere in Baghdad in some cultural venue,
Yes.
and you had certain messages, I mean, the ones you've shared with us just now, I think they would go down well in terms of a message of, as I mentioned earlier, a message of humility, a message of compassion.
I believe so.
But would you want to comment in any kind of political way, perhaps?
I'm not. I don't like to comment in politics. I always feel that I'm an artist, and supposed to stay an artist, and feel stronger and happier as an artist than being in politics and get involved in politics. And my work is really, anybody who see that, they always love it and they always enjoy what I'm doing.
Now, are there any recent artists that have come out of Iraq that you, in particular, admire?
Here in London, there is a great artist who is a fine artist. Is good, who lived in France and then went to Algeria and then he came to London, called Aziz Al Naib. He's a very important artist. And
Why is he important?
well, because he touch hard again when he do any drawing. He always go back to the nature of the human, and so you love his work because it's coming from the natural thing, from the actual environment of Iraq.
Now, as we were talking earlier, there is this, if you like, phenomenon that in times of hardship, in fact, in times of incredible suffering, individuals are somehow called upon to express themselves, and art can find, we can say perhaps, its truest expression. Now, do you feel or sense that's happening in Iraq?
Yes, I believe so. I mean, in Iraq, people are out of the suffering. They produce really nice pieces of art. As I said earlier, sometimes they need to be careful what to say, but in the generally speaking, they have got more freedom now, and they have, from this hardship they are suffering of, they are doing something really, and maybe in a few years' time, everybody will see a nice piece of art, either in the as a fine art or theater or cinema or TV or any other medium.
Well, this actually goes back to my earlier question, because I wonder what art in terms of culture is coming out, because as I understand, museums have been destroyed,
Yes.
perhaps artifacts and these cultural, the legacy, if you like, in terms of the culture
Yes.
of your country
Yes.
has been destroyed to a large extent, I would say.
Yes.
So I wonder, in a sense, what's left, and in terms of TV or theatre, if that will ever find an audience outside of Iraq.
Yes, in the actual fact, whatever that's been destroyed, I mean, it's been looted. The museums, some of the most important manuscript at the central library in Baghdad being stolen and destroyed. And this is really, people are worried about it. But I think by the time they will go back to the country and will be put in their place again. Because there is a long history of this country. I mean, there is really the culture and the civilization of Iraq. It's been thousands of years, and it won't be destroyed just like that. It will go back, and it will be even better and stronger.
Okay.
This is what I believe.
Now, you obviously believe in the power of art.
Yes.
Now, how does that connect with the particular project you're working on right now, the Messengers of Hope?
Yes. Actually, Messengers of Hope is trying to help 2.3 million Iraqis who are displaced inside Iraq. 65% of them are children. These people, they need, some of them, they don't have even a tent or any shelter to live in. There is a big shortage of medicine and food and water and so on. And the children without care, without education. But I believe the art will help these people. Maybe one day we can maybe do here a big concert in the Hyde Park with the help of a European or British artist who could maybe, we could raise some money to help them. And
well, actually, on that point, I mean, this situation, I mean, as you understand, there are literally millions of people and young people from families displaced across Iraq. But why do you think in let's say, the art form of TV or film, this is not a subject that's getting much coverage? It's, I'm not sure, but perhaps it's considered old news. What would you have to say about that?
Well, most of the media busy inside Iraq, not with these topics. They are busy with daily suicide bombing and killing each other. So it's became like a forgotten or a silent killing, this displaced people. Even the positive news, nobody care about them. When you see always the media showing the most difficult moments, and nobody show any good moment at that country.
So, do you have any plans how to address this this gap in understanding, this gap in the awareness?
Well, I've been trying for the last 6 months, sending emails to the important people, to the NGOs, to the whatever I think they will be help. I'm been trying for a long time, and thank God most people who I write to, they say yes, we will help you and we will be with you, and I have got a good hope that Messengers of Hope will be succeed.
And as I understand it, you're also hoping to make a documentary.
Yes. I spoke to a film director last week called Nick Broomfield, and I told him because I saw his film Battle of Haditha, and I told him that there is another problem in Iraq, why don't you think about it? He said, send me an email and we'll talk about it. And probably if he is willing to help, I think we will have, because most people I speak to, they said, show us some documentaries, some films about these people, so we can raise awareness more and maybe help with money, with other projects.
I mean, obviously, documentary is a very powerful art form.
Yeah.
But do you feel when people are asking you, show me the documentary, in other words, show me the footage, they don't really believe that this situation exists?
They don't know much about it. That's why if I manage to, with help of others, maybe even with your help, we can do something about the commentary about these people, because it's sort of long time process, and I don't know when they are going back to home, and I don't know when they will settle down at these places. It's really a very hard moments they are passing through.
Now, you yourself were in Iraq, you mentioned 2 years ago. How do you understand the situation to be today? I mean, not only of these displaced people, but do you find that somehow things are changing for the better?
I think people, they start thinking now why they are killing each other for no reason. Let them sit down and talk and have a dialogue and make peace within themselves. And this is good for them and good for their country.
And how do Iraqis who are living abroad, like yourself, in the UK or elsewhere, how do they reflect, or how do they even treat each other, considering what's actually going on back home?
Yeah, I'd like to mention one thing. Here or anywhere else, people, they don't think this way. People in this country, for instance, a few months ago, the Iraqi football team won the
Asian Cup.
The Asian Cup. And then we did a celebration party or something for that. And everybody who come to this celebration party, they were happy from different kind of, and they said, this is the moment we are united and we'd love to have such occasions and always. So you don't see anybody who come from certain background, from all different background, different religion, different belief, which is really nice to see that. And here you can tell there is no problem in Iraq. People, they want to make a problem, but it will disappear.
Actually, the football analogy is a very good one, because again, it's the power of sports to bring people together, as we're obviously discussing the power of art, which can also bring people together.
Yes, I believe so. I mean, the art and the sport, always, everywhere, it's a language of love and peace and bring people together. So hopefully with the artists, with the people who are in the sport, they will bring more peace and more love in Iraq. I believe so.
Mm. And likewise, if we're talking about artists from Iraq being able to have, let's say, a collective voice, even perhaps a vision for how they can go forward and build the country once again together, do you think it's possible for artists across nationalities, across cultures, to put aside all these differences and join together in these very common and obviously very necessary goals towards peace building?
I believe so. I mean, people inside the country, although they didn't have, for about 20 or 30 years, they didn't have any media, they didn't have any, it was just one voice coming from the government. They didn't have any, they couldn't see much of internet, they couldn't see much of satellite channels, they couldn't see much of newspapers or magazines coming from abroad. Even books in the universities, they were very shortage. So now after the changes of the regime, I think people now, they have more awareness how they can sit together and make peace, especially the artists. That's what I'm trying to do for the last about 6-7 months.
And what's been the response?
Yes, because I joined together this topic, what you just said, with the messengers of hope. I want to let more artists and more people join together so we can do a platform for the country, for the peace and love in the country.
Again, if we go back to sports, we see that in sports like soccer, they have international tournaments like the World Cup, of course, where the world literally comes together and all eyes are glued on those TV sets.
Absolutely.
And even though it's a competition, you can see, at least in some games, there's also a kind of a brotherhood, if you like, of being soccer fans and loving that game and also enjoying that spirit of being together. Now, I imagine that's somehow along the lines of what you would like to do with art, and also in bringing festivals or bringing a troupe of artists, singers, dancers, designers, painters, and so on and so on, and bringing that similar kind of, if you like, spirit in that kind of event to Iraq. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I even want some Iraqi artists to get out from the country and come maybe to Europe to show their whatever they have, because nobody knows what is happening inside Iraq about culture and about art, about music, about theater. So I'm trying to get some help to get group of Iraqi artists to come to Europe and show whatever they have.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly often the case that when other cultures come to a country, obviously like the UK, it does find an audience, but it's a niche audience. Whereas I think if you're successful to find someone like Nick Broomfield to make your documentary, then I'm sure you will certainly get a mainstream audience for that, and that will be a big step towards, obviously, the goals you have with Messengers of Hope. When
I spoke to Nick Bloomfield, he said, send me an email about what you're doing about Messengers of Hope and let me think about it. So, and he said, I'd love to do a film about Iraq, even in general, about the history, about the civilization, about what is happening in Iraq. But he said, I'm afraid, but we might get some help from somewhere to support what he's thinking of.
I understand, because obviously the recent film Battle for Haditha, that was filmed in Jordan.
In Jordan, not in Iraq.
Right.
Yes.
So hopefully you can give him that access, which is obviously a very big deal for
I'll do my best.
filmmakers.
I'll do my best, honestly.
Well, Aziz, I think we're just about to run out of time. Before we do, is there a website where we can find out more about your project?
Yes. It's going to be launched soon. It's www.messengersofhope.com.
Well, thank you again, and we look forward to hearing more about your project in the future.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've been watching The Defining Moment for Creating the Culture of Conscience. If you'd like to find out more about our shows, we're on the web at www.definingmoment.eu. Thank you for watching, and we wish you all the best.